Hello, I'm Doug Benedict, and welcome to the Butler Esports interview series, where we're interviewing sports leaders, owners, and industry experts in the evolving world of esports. Today's interview is with Tim Bergmann. Tim studied liberal arts education at the University of Duisburg-Essen in Germany. Tim has been involved in the gaming industry for many years as a consultant, recruiter, team manager, and most recently, the CEO of Fade2Karma, also known as F2 Gaming. Welcome, Tim.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So, jumping right into it, how did you get started professionally? How did you get into the world of esports?
Oh, that's like a long answer for this question, I guess. So I first got started while I was in high school, I guess in the German equivalent of high school. So I was playing Counter-Strike when it was like the early 2000s, so like still 1.6. I was playing that while at school, pretty high level, made some money, no, not like money like people make nowadays, but made some money back then. And yeah, and then after school, I actually became a professional card player. So Magic the Gathering, which is also now in esports, but back then wasn't, and poker. And at some point, decided that I wanted to become a teacher. So I started studying becoming a teacher and taught some classes as well. But at the end of the day, I felt a bit constrained, felt a bit like a robot in the German school system. And that was right about the time when actually Hearthstone was released, which was, well, card game, esport, did those two things. 1 + 1 = 3. Dropped out that day actually, and just went for it pro, like 16 hours a day. Became a professional player in Hearthstone, and that's how it started in the esports space.
Awesome. So then how did you make your way to F2K Gaming, founding it, running it?
Yeah, I mean, so being a professional player was interesting. I mean, but people always call the industry like the wild, wild west, and it being a bit shady. I mean, they don't get the whole picture because it used to be way worse than that. So, like, I mean, you got scammed, not paid on time, not paid at all. I had stories where, like, a friend of mine who wanted to leave his team, and his team actually they sent like some guy to beat him up in a tournament. And I've seen like other stuff in there, like and yeah, at some point I met Jesse, my co-founder, and yeah, that was actually like 2014, so like 1 year before. And then over that year, we always talked about like maybe doing something together. And well, at that point, I got scammed super hard again. It was super bad, and I was like, well, I had like a couple of job offers from like very renowned teams in the space, but then I called Jesse. I was like, hey Jesse, I think we can do this better. Like we can build a good company that's still fair and transparent to people, doesn't fuck people over. So yeah, I mean, after like 2 minutes talking about it, we did it. That's it, like 2 minutes. That's what it was, yeah. And then we started F2K in June 15.
Quick decision maker.
I mean, have to be sometimes.
Absolutely. That's what the field, the field is quick itself. So then the vision, the goal of F2K Gaming, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we wanted to build like a good company, a big company that's fair to people. We also saw another issue in the space, which was a lack of diversity. I mean, women underrepresented, people of color are underrepresented. A lot of toxicity towards people that have like, I don't know, like they have a different sexual orientation, religious beliefs, or wear a different colored shirt than yours. I mean, it can be a very toxic place sometimes, and yeah, like we're not having it. I mean, we want to change that, and I think we did like a good thing, or like a good bit of it already. I mean, there's still a long way to go, but that's one of the ways we want to go. And obviously we want to build out F2K into like the biggest network in the digital media space, a digital media company. Think of something like a Barstool, creating content around all those problems and all those people that we have on our roster, and that's the future. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So where's the name come from? F2K
Oh
Fade to
my god.
Karma.
So it was actually pretty random.
Hmm.
So I'm going to tell you the politically correct story, and I'm not
Okay.
going to tell you the random story. It's just too random. It just like you could just, I mean, you could make up a story. It would be as good as mine. No, I mean, I'll tell you the actual story. So we thought for like 12 hours about a name, and we were very tired and wanted to go to sleep. And I was scrolling through Counter-Strike CS:GO knives, and I saw like, oh, I really like the Fate skins that they had on Counter-Strike. And our general manager back then, Poach, like he was looking at some other stuff, and he thought about like this team has like some super weird name because it was named like 3 commas,
Mhm.
so they would be billionaires basically, right? And I understood. So and I said like, oh, that's a good name if you combine those two. And he said, what, fade? Because he understood fade because of my German accent. He didn't understand fade. So it's like he understood a T, Fade2Karma. I was like, that's a weird name. And I understood. I didn't understand his comma, and I understood karma. I was like, oh, Fade2Karma. And then obviously we thought about it like, yeah, I mean, that actually makes sense because you want to do something good in the space. So like karma makes sense, right? And like fade. I mean, obviously it was like CS:GO knife skin, but whatever. But like, I mean, um, like your life is fading and you still have time to do something good in the world, right? And the karma. So now you have the full story that I've never told publicly ever before.
Oh, well, exclusive. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you get an exclusive now. Jesus Christ.
So, your responsibilities with the organization, what do they look like?
Um, so technically what they should be looking like as a CEO, I mean, that was one of my mentors told me. It was, you set the vision, you hire the right people, and then you got to pay for it. In reality, you do everything and nothing. I mean, right now I'm actually like very much fundraising, so it's like I'm very much detached from the company actually more than I want to be. But yeah, I mean, now as a CEO, it's actually almost those three things. In the first 5 years, being bootstrapped, it's not it's just everything, right? Like you talk to a viewer, you talk to like an advertiser, you talk to the streamers, you make sure all those parties are aligned and it all makes sense. You hire people, you fire people, and yeah, I mean, that's about it.
No, that sounds very similar to the other accounts we've gotten from owners of other esports companies, especially with esports, right? Is, it being the Wild West, you kind of have to put your hand in everything. So the big question: COVID-19, has it affected your operations in any way, or?
No, I mean we've always been a remote company, so like for us it was we were pretty used to being remote. Um, Revenues went up. I mean, they went up every year, so like there was like no change. I just feel the revenue shifted, I guess is the right term, because there was like not much interest from any like brick and mortar company or anything that's like super huge, but more like e-commerce companies that didn't really were affected by COVID. People were at home ordering stuff, so like they had like a field day, I guess. In terms of staff, we had almost non-affected on the company. We had one distant relative of one person die from COVID, um, which was the bad part. But otherwise, we've been mostly unaffected.
Mhm. So you mentioned that you had a mentor telling you what to do as a CEO. Do you have a piece of like helpful advice that you were given, when you started all of this, or just started into the world of esports? I mean, it sounded like you kind of knew your way around already, but
Hmm. So for what person, what's their goal?
what do you mean?
Like the advice to who? So like who is that person?
A piece of advice you received when doing
Oh
all of
oh oh
this.
that I
Yeah,
received. Whew. At the start,
sure.
don't trust anyone. That's what someone told me once. Um, no, I think like the one thing that is very important is the networking.
Mhm.
That's something that people always underestimate. And like if this is helpful for like a person that's building a career, I mean, build your brand, build like all your channels.
Yeah.
Don't be lazy. Um, you have to go all in. I mean, this is a new space, and the one thing, I mean, I think the best advice was the one that I gave to myself, was that I'm just gonna work and not stop. And I spent, when I was a professional player, I spent 2 years 16 hours a day. Like I did literally nothing but play and eat and sleep, nothing else. And if I wouldn't have done it, I wouldn't have gotten as good as I did, in because there's always someone working as hard as you or somewhere else in the world, right? And if you don't give it your all, then someone else is going to take it away from you. That's what it is, right?
That's great advice. So the Indie Techstars Sport Accelerator program, you all are a part of it. You know, you've been accepted. What do you look to gain, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it was really a networking aspect that was the most important. The company was bootstrapped for 5 years, so we didn't raise any capital before. And for us, it was time to put the foot on the gas. And obviously, Texas has like a good network for like fundraising and also advice, mentors, hiring, all those kinds of things. Like I didn't go into Texas to get like business development advice. I didn't go in there for that. Although, like in the mentor meetings, I think we actually like we did a small pivot. So we actually got some advice that actually made us do a pivot, right? So, I mean that wasn't advice of people telling us what to do, but it was more of like us reverse engineering what they told us into what we should be doing because of what they saw. So, no, but I mean like the networking is great. I mean, I didn't go in for all the biz dev advice, but I actually got so much biz dev advice. It was helpful, to be honest. Like, I mean, for us, first time founders, we didn't run the company in a way like how you should potentially run a company completely. Like we were not as propped up as it could be, for example, right? And yeah, I mean, overall, it's amazing, right? So like all the other, the core is amazing. All your people are amazing.
So, time to sell, right? So why do gamers want to join F2K? Why would they want to be a part of your organization?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I said earlier about the fairness and transparency, and I think we have like a stellar, extremely good reputation in the scene. So we get inbound from like very professional, very renowned people already. Like people like, hey, I heard so much good stuff about you guys. I want to have a call, right? I mean, that happens. I think we have a pretty fair business model to people. It's very transparent, and I mean, I think we also stand for something, and people that believe in the same values as we are, I think that also is like a reason why they would join F2K. And of course, I mean, one thing as well is that we have like a really, really good track record at growing people. So people that joined the F2K network, they've been growing for a long time, and most of them. I mean, obviously you have some people that don't grow, but like a lot of them, they grew quite a bit and became bigger streamers.
So when you're looking at new membership, what are you looking for when you're accepting people, I guess is the question.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's like I guess, fourfold process. Let's hope it's actually four. We'll have to make up the fourth now. Yeah, I mean, first of all, we look if are they actually good people, right? That's important. The second thing is, how is their growth? Where are they in their career? How's the growth trajectory? So we look at those things, and that's like very important, obviously as well. And then the third thing is like almost the same, equally important is how well are they communicating? So if you work with people, sometimes you have people that don't respond for a week, which can be very, very annoying, especially when you're running activation or have to get something else done, and that's like super bad, right? And yeah, I mean, also, I guess that's in the same bucket. Like how professional are they in general, right? So if you tell them something, will they actually do it? So I guess that's the professionalism bucket. And the fourth bucket is like, well, how well do they match the brand, right? Like how well do the demographics match the brand? So for us, I mean, we are not going for like the 12 to 18-year-old audience. We are more into like the 19 to 36. That's more our audience. So like how well do the demographics match? And like how well also does like because we don't want to have any toxic people in F2K. So like how positive are they? How educational are they? That's also something that's important to us. Like how well do they educate the audience, not just on the game, but also on other things in life. Yeah, and I guess those are the four buckets. And well, at the end of the day, people have to match all these four, right? I mean, there's like no compromise in like, oh, well, he's growing a lot, but he's a. Can I say words? Yeah, like he's growing pretty hard, but he's a dick. It doesn't matter. He's gonna grow again. And like I think the moment you compromise your values is the moment where things go sideways.
Absolutely. So, question about one of your buckets, right? How do you look at, I guess, the growth potential or the growth that's being done? Is it just like followers? Is it gameplay? Is it ranks? Like what exactly does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's a lot of data. And for us, the data, I mean, mostly we're looking at like how many concurrent viewers do people get. It's not the followers. I mean, someone that has a lot of followers is nice, but if they can't activate those followers and can get any engagement, well, that's not that great. So, I mean, for us, I mean, we also have like some tech, like an algorithm where you can check, like project people's growth, and we can look at all the data points. How we can help. That's also important. Like, how can we help? So, so for example, like once we found a person, she was really good growth potential, but wasn't putting in a lot of hours. So I got on a call for and asked like, hey, what's happening here? Like, why are you only streaming that little? And she said like, hey, I'm not making enough money yet, so I have to do do a full time job, and I'm streaming next to a full time job. And I was like, okay, so how much do you need to? Yeah, and she said like $1,000. I was like, okay, I'm gonna pay you $1,000 per month, and you do it full time now, and like double full time basically, and yeah, and she had amazing growth. So yeah, I mean, that's something you can do. And like for us, usually we pay people incentive based. We pay them based on their viewership, but sometimes we do like those things where you can be a bit flexible. Like, hey, I mean, you get 1K guaranteed, and if you surpass it with $15 incentive, then you get paid that. But I mean, I just want to enable you for your maximum potential. That's something we also try to do. And of course, then we do a lot of cross promotion as well, right? To help people enable that.
Absolutely. So F2K, community engagement, philanthropy, do you guys have those efforts? What does it look like to you all?
Yeah, I mean, I'm first going to touch on the community engagement, I guess. So community engagement, we next to our main team, we also have something we call the F2K community, right? Which is so I would say it's like it's like our community. It's the people that like the F2K brand, like one of the streamers. It's also to some degree an academy as well, where we try to help people to become bigger streamers, better streamers. We have over 3,000 people, all of us in that community, and our main team people sometimes create content pieces just for them, like, hey, this is how I built my stream, etc. And yeah, I mean, those people sometimes they run campaigns with us. They can earn a currency. They can use the currency to buy a perk in a store, like a shirt, like a game, headset. I mean, you name it. And yeah, we really engage with them. We have like a huge Discord server with thousands of people, and sometimes we do like crossover events between the main team and the community as well. And obviously, we also have community that who are not streamers. So those people like they also sometimes take part in like viewer games and other things. So like we always try to engage them as much as we can. And yeah, philanthropy. I mean, we are actually probably the team that raised the most money for charity this year. We do it every month, so there's like no stopping. So did a lot of activations this year with Toy Box. They are like a charity that helps kids get off the street in like third world countries. I mean, I guess you know Care and Feeding America. I guess I don't need to explain those. We did a very good one with We Are Rad, which is like a pretty new one. We actually had their founder on stream with Jobs, one of our streamers, explaining the charity, and they combat like mental illness. So like they for people that can't afford it, they pay for their like therapy sessions with and like also like at reduced rate because the people are also involved with that. And yeah, I mean, there are like a couple of others, but like now we are working with Gamers Outreach this month. So what they basically do is they bring gaming to kids who are in hospitals, right? So they can find some light in a dark place. And yeah, I mean, that's also great, right? So they have like those cute, cool station wagons where they can drive them in, and it has like an Xbox, PS4 screens and stuff on it. It's like pretty custom built, pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So sponsorship and your organization, how does that play a role in what you all do? Do sponsorships play a role in production, in the alignment of goals? Like what does that look like for you all?
I mean, for us, I mean, I call it more advertising than sponsorship because I mean, I think we're not really an esports team, so like we're like more, it's more advertising, but it's obviously it plays a very huge role for us and also for our streams. So one thing for us that's always very important is that an advertiser also brings value to the streamers, but more importantly, also the people that are watching them, so like the community. And that can be in a multitude of ways, right? So one thing we actually going to do in the future with one of our partners is we're going to activate them on a charity event as well. So they're going to like donate to the charity as well. If people buy that product while the charity team is live, certain percentage gets kicked back into the charity, all those kind of things. You can really enable like a lot of different things there. And yeah, but for us, they play a huge role. I mean, we have some good ones that we have for a very long time. If we're still looking for more, I mean, right now our attendance is not huge. I mean, we're still below 30% of like people that we could advertise for. So we're still looking for more right now.
Absolutely. So how do you continue to grow F2K? Like what, I'm not asking for your proprietary plan, but you know, how do you move forward? How do you expand? How do you grow?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's about building the network, and you can build it in like two ways. You can either build it wider or higher. I think for right now, we want to focus more on the people we already have and build it a bit higher right now. Potentially, like some countries or people who are not really taking it seriously anymore and not really making it, we might not renew them and then getting people that are a bit higher and actually have growth potential. So that's one thing we're going to do in terms of that and to grow the viewership. One important thing for us is not necessarily in the network, but it's out of the network, which is the own operated content. It's very important. So we actually launched a rap video the other day with Jackie for Fall Guys. I'm not sure if you saw this.
I haven't seen it. I've been offline for a couple of days.
Yeah, you should check the Fall Guys Twitter. Like they actually posted it was pretty good, and so that was our first like little pilot. And the next thing we're gonna do is a Magic tournament. So a Magic tournament also about women empowerment. So we're gonna have a lot of female players in there as well. So that's gonna be great. In-house casting it and producing it. We'll be live on Twitch, so watch out. Like follow F2K, like at Fade2Karma on Twitter, by the way, and follow us, and then for news on that Magic tournament.
Absolutely. So I guess esports as a whole, right? Where do you see it going 3 to 5 years? You know, what does it look like from here, from your point of view, from where you do most of your stuff in the next 3 to 5 years?
So how do you define esports?
I guess that's a great question. No one's ever asked me that. I guess the entirety of the industry, whether it's competitive, whether it's streaming, whether it's you know, the network as a whole, kind of compare it to, you know, traditional sports in a sense, the entirety of the industry that is there.
Yeah, I think we are gonna grow the competitive play for a bit before we hit a wall and things are gonna become very ugly there. That's my personal take on this. I mean, viewership in live streaming is just growing and growing. It's gonna grow even more. I mean, it's a lot of people discovered like also live streaming now during COVID, and they're gonna stick around. There's gonna be even more live streaming in like 6 to 12 months. Because there's gonna be a content shortage because nothing was filmed for like the last 6 months now. So I assume they can stretch it out a bit, but at some point there's not gonna be that much content, new content. So there's gonna be another search for like live streaming. Ancillary industries are interesting. So like if you look at, for example, something like esports native merchandise, if the overall industry grows, I don't think those will stick around because just the normal players or from like that are non-endemic will move in and just take over. Potentially you get like a nice exit, potentially, probably not. Yeah, I mean, the content, the media side, that's going to be the big one. And that's the one we're going for. That's the big one because if you look at traditional sports, like the advertising and the sponsorship, they are, I think, the third or fourth biggest income factor actually only. And in everything gaming esports related, it's by far the biggest. It's like 80-90%, right? It's like 90% of every like company's revenue basically. And if you look at traditional sports, it's media rights is number one, tickets is number two, and tickets is one thing people go after, and I don't think it will ever work in gaming and esports. I don't think it will ever work. And yeah, and then sometimes even merchandise is bigger than advertising. So like you see like the Phase and 100 Thieves really going for that. Could work. Probably not. So yeah, that's how I see it developing in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
But content and media, especially with all these platforms fighting for content right now, cable television coming in as well now. I think that's the one, because people, they want to see more content.
Yeah.
And also video on demand content and original content, not just like the normal content.
And this next question can be the same answer basically that you gave earlier, but if students here are watching this, they're interested in like this field, esports, the industry itself, what advice would you give as someone who's in this industry to them?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the same answer. It's like, so now I can actually give the advice. So that like 5 years later, it's not the advice from back then. It depends what you want to do. I mean, if you want to work in gaming and esports, take an internship and then just work 16 hours a day, right? Like, don't expect to like be like applying like, hey, I want to get paid 50K a year and this benefits no. Just go in, work for free, show them you. I mean, that's how people on our staff did it. They came in and they were just like irreplaceable. So over time, they actually got like jobs in the industry. Well, I guess decently paying jobs, good paying jobs. But if you come in and be like, hey, look, I mean, I have like a degree in blah blah blah, people don't care. I mean, I wouldn't care. I mean, you can have like 20 degrees, right? Like I wouldn't care. I mean, like show me what you're made of first. Like show me that you can work hard, because this is an industry where, well, the phone rings at like it's like being an ER doctor on call, but every single day, all the time. Just you don't have to leave your home.
I mean, it makes sense.
So just do that. And if you're a professional player, if you want to do that, well, I only have one advice for people that actually want to try that. It's like, do it while you're still in school and start there. And then afterwards, hope you have parents that earn enough and just go into their basement and just play 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
Till you're good enough. I mean, I have there. I'm thinking about a story where I know someone that worked full time and then went professional in their I mean, that's the same thing with streamers. It's like the same thing, because streaming is also math. I mean, if you actually want to take your stab at it, get into a position where you can afford at least 1 year without income, potentially two. I mean, even when I did it, like I called my parents and I was like, hey, I want to go into esports. Right. This is what I also never told this publicly. I called my parents. I was like, hey, I want to go into esports. It's like, cool with you guys. Okay. I was like, okay, I'm gonna move in back with you. Can I eat your food? Yes. Right.
Yeah.
I earned enough money to pay for my own healthcare. That's it. I didn't have anything else. But I didn't need anything else. I was just like, as I told you, playing, eating. So my parents and they had a bed there. So that's all I did. Like for almost 4 years until I was able to afford to get a place. So I mean, if you are not willing to go through the struggle, then I wouldn't even start.
Yeah.
So that's my advice.
That's good advice. So this has been extremely new, different perspectives than we've gotten, and that's what we're always looking for. So we ask everybody this at the end of all our interviews: who are two or one, if you can't come up with two, other industry leaders, organizations, entities in the field that you think would be beneficial for us to interview? And I know we're putting you on the spot here.
I think Justin would be a good interview candidate.
Okay.
It's Justin Sachs. He used to work at Curse.
Okay.
And in business development, founded his own company, Chrono.
Okay.
I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say about this, but they used to do daily deals for gamers. So basically, like, their mission is to enable streamers, because they actually are doing the advertising for game developers to actually like benefit from that. So that's one person. And the other person, so you said industry leaders, is what you said?
Industry leaders, or anybody you think can give us an extremely interesting perspective.
An extremely interesting perspective. Huh. I mean, I could name Ines Reader, but now I'm kind of trying to figure out someone that has like a very, very unique, interesting perspective. I mean, for the Ines Reader, I would say Brendan Byrne, CEO of Opera Event,
Okay.
one of our long-term partners, actually, like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But extremely interesting perspective. I would need to think about, like, did you guys ever talk to a streamer?
We have not talked to a streamer yet. We haven't had a streamer on.
Did you have a pro player?
Technically, I believe a retired pro player.
So that's me.
That's you. That's two.
Yeah, I have like multiple pro players and streamers you could talk to potentially.
Yeah. I mean, you can always, you know.
Oh no, I haven't introduced this person. You should talk to Vigil, Jonathan Vigil, one of my streamers.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, do you want me to tease the story?
Sure, tease the story.
So he used to be, or he still is, the lead singer of like a metal band, rock band, right?
Oh, okay.
They actually were really on their rise to fame. YouTube videos over 10 million views, really extremely crazy stuff. And then while they were on tour, they had like a really bad accident. Like a semi truck hit their truck frontal on the road, 60 miles per hour each side. Driver died, drummer lost their leg. Like he still can't really walk. Like it's now 5-6 years later, so that was over then, right? So he was like at home. He wasn't feeling so good. So he actually started streaming.
Yeah.
And after some time, he joined the F2K community, so like our smaller group. And at some point, like, yeah, he grew a bit more in there, and then we promoted him to the main team. And now they're actually doing a comeback as a band as well. It's the Ghost Inside as the band for a plug.
Okay. I mean that's extremely interesting. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's fantastic. Thanks for the suggestions. That's about all we have for this week. Thank you for your time, Tim. Stay safe, stay well. Go Dogs.
Good dogs. Yay!
Yay!